well, the world is going to continue to get tougher. And the reality is...
Especially if you're weak.
Yes, absolutely. And thankfully, we've got all the tools and resources as human beings where we can cross-pollinate ideas and listen to podcasts or read books or and just constantly be improving ourselves, spiritually, physically. I mean, that's why we're talking about our diets and everything else, because all those things are helping us to be able to be strong enough to get better.
Yes.
Because, man, there's more challenge. You think it's challenging right now, it's going to become more challenging.
Yes.
But if you get stronger, those challenging times will be exciting, not detrimental to your happiness or joy, right? Hey, welcome, guys. We're glad to be back with you all this week. Jeff and I, just us this time. So hopefully we can provide some decent entertainment. Maybe we're not here to entertain. Maybe we're here. Well, I don't know. I think
it'll be entertainment.
I do too.
We'll see.
I do too. So I saw you recently started the Andrew Facilla. What is it?
75
hard.
Yeah.
Just started it.
Yeah. Kelsey asked me yesterday if I wanted to start it. Sure. Why not?
Cool. You kind of already do it though, don't you?
Yeah. As I started looking at the program, I think it's workout twice a day, right? 2 45-minute or more workouts. One of them has to be outdoors, and then drink a gallon of water, follow a diet, read 10 pages per day. I think that's it. Did I miss one?
Pictures.
Oh, picture and take a picture every day.
Take a picture.
And other than taking a picture, I do that every day, really.
Yeah, you take a mental picture every day.
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
There you go. I don't know if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kelsey asked me if I want to start it, and I think the hardest thing for me will be splitting up my workouts, because usually I'll do a resistance training, and then I'll do cardio after.
Get it all done at once.
Yeah, just I'll work out for an hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. And so rather than doing that, then I have to split it up. So today, this morning, I woke up and I did a Murph. And then I'll go for a walk or jump rope, or I'll work out tonight and do something.
Yeah.
So pretty simple.
Murph kind of already covered it all, but you're going to do more because you have to. You have to do your second.
Yeah, you got to do 2 workouts.
You did it in 47 minutes?
Yeah, 47 flat.
That's moving,
47
man.
flat.
That's good, because I'm pretty sure the CrossFit Games guys do it in 40, I think. So you're not that far off.
I'll have to look it up. I've never looked it up to see what those
I saw
guys do.
YouTube the other day. I can't remember I guess we could look it up right now. But anyway, they were right around 40 minutes, I want to say. The top guys.
Wow.
The top guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think if I was competing, I wasn't competing with anybody,
Yeah.
It was me and my son. My son was doing it with me, 7. So, I wasn't competing or going as fast as I could or anything, but I felt great. I mean, it feels good. I'm excited to see what happens at the end of 75 days.
Right.
The one thing that I think will be challenging is I like to eat dark chocolate. So no sweets. No sugar.
So dark chocolate is considered a sweet. I
guess.
I don't know. I think that'd be one I would think you could almost justify.
All right, because it's really not much chocolate. I mean, I like 80% or more. Dark chocolate. There's not much sugar.
From what I hear, dark chocolate's good for your heart.
Well, maybe.
Anyway, you might want to.
I just figured I was cheating, so maybe I'll just take off 75 days or something.
Aren't you supposed to give up some sort of bad habit or something like that? Is that part of the deal?
I think maybe. I think a lot of it is just mental discipline, right? So often people are focusing on the workouts and the drinking water and the reading, but really it's just creating good habits. I think that, these disciplines that, hey, it's not always convenient to work out a second time.
No.
It's not always convenient to read every single day. It's not always convenient to drink a gallon of water.
Yep.
So I think for me, and it's really just about the discipline and just saying, hey, yeah, normally I do these things, but I'd give myself some leniency once in a while. But saying, hey, 75 days, I can, I'm not going to take a break. I'm not going to take a rest day. I'm not going to cheat. I'm just going to do it for 75 days. I think that takes a special kind of discipline,
Yeah, no. Anytime you're changing it up a little bit. I mean, that's for me. I mean, I'd get up and work out first thing in the morning, and I do that because I don't want to worry about it later.
Yeah.
So if I had to break it up into 2. That would be a challenge, but maybe a good challenge to
just
try.
changing your habits and having to stay disciplined on change. Yeah, let's face it, most people are so scared of change. It's so uncomfortable. Even us, maybe we have some, good routines and some great habits and we're disciplined, but having the ability to change it and then stay disciplined to the change, I think is probably a great mental exercise.
Right. So when you're on that too, I mean, just water? You can't have any other type of drinks? Like you couldn't have
I don't know, but honestly, I don't really drink anything except for water. I think you can have other stuff. I think the goal is just drinking a gallon of water a day.
I like to have a diet deal once in a while.
Do you?
Yeah, I know it's bad for me. I know you're going to tell me.
I
how
would
bad
never.
It is.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, all I ever drink anyway is I'll have a cup of coffee or 2 in the morning, and then I just drink water. So if I go to a restaurant, I just drink water.
Yeah.
I don't ever drink anything else.
A gallon's a lot of water to drink. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't ever try to drink a gallon of water. I just drink water when I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
But I probably usually drink a gallon.
Yeah,
I carry around
maybe
a
I do
hydro
too.
flask. In
Yeah.
fact, I don't know. I've got
Your Stanley? Where's your Stanley?
Yeah, it's not even. Usually this is what
Oh,
I
wow.
carry.
Yeah, it's even bigger.
Yeah,
than
it's
your
a half a gallon, and I just fill it up a couple times. And I have a Stanley cup. Kelsey bought me as well, but I hate it honestly because it falls over and spills, and I don't like it as much as my hydro flask. But yes, I drink a gallon of water pretty much every day. Try to stay hydrated when I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't drink a gallon usually, huh?
Maybe I do. I mean,
Yeah.
I do drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
So I might. By the time I'll work out in the morning and then I'll do a protein shake after that, and it's water in that. And then I'll usually drink 20 ounces of water with a, what's that stuff called? Electrolytes.
It's like a powder you put in the water.
Hydration.
Okay.
What is it called? Anyway, it's good stuff. Man, it'll come to me. Anyway, so I'll do that. Yeah, and then I'll drink a Mountain Ops ammo meal replacement later. I'll usually have a steak with that.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I'm always drinking. I'll drink a bottled water too throughout the day. So I'm probably close to a gallon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe if I try to drink a gallon, I might surprise myself and be way lower.
Yeah. I think that, I haven't done a lot of research on whether or not you need a gallon of water today. I don't know if you actually need a gallon of water if you're pretty much healthy. I think the reason why a gallon of water, my guess why he put that in there is because most people are drinking soda.
Yeah.
They're drinking juice. They're drinking these
Detoxifies
high sugar. Yeah, they're drinking this high sugar stuff, right? Even and to that point, my daughter is in gymnastics, and we just don't drink anything other than water, like legit. And my daughter's working hard at gymnastics. She's got these little girls that are the same age as her. She's 5, and maybe they're between the ages of 5 and 8.
Yeah.
So between 5 and 8, and I'm not kidding, dude. 80% of these little girls are overweight.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
And it's not that they don't work hard; they work out, but they're drinking soda. Here in Utah, everybody's going to Swig and
Processed
which is
foods.
like sugar inside of a soda.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, and then candy and all this stuff. So I think for drinking a gallon of water is really trying to eliminate all of that stuff. Because I look at my daughter and all she drinks is water, and she's shredded. She's 5 years old, and I always joke around how she looks like baby Hulk.
And your kids eat pretty good too. You don't feed them sweets. You don't have sweets and stuff in your house really.
No.
And I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
We've got too many sweets in our house, so our kids' friends always come over, and they're always wanting to come to our house because we don't have a ton,
Snacks.
but there's some snacks. And I'm always telling Lexi, let's just not buy that stuff. But my kids might die but it'd be good for them. Get rid of that.
We buy a lot of fruit, so we try to keep a lot of fruit. Whether it's cut up or on the counters or whatever, so that our kids, if they want a snack, they can go eat some fruit.
Yeah.
And so we do it a lot. We cut up watermelon or bananas or mangoes so fruit in our house. We snack on fruit. And I remember one time I heard Grant Cardone say, he said, "Hey, if you're sick and tired of cheating because you wake up at night and you eat this stuff that's not good for you," he goes, "if it wasn't in your house, I bet you wouldn't eat it." He goes, "Maybe if you had broccoli in your house and that was the only thing to eat and you were hungry, I'll bet you'd eat broccoli." And that was a long time ago. It was probably 10 years ago I heard that, and I told Kelsey, I'm like, it's so true. Like,
it is.
Why do we have these things in our home that we know aren't good for our kids? We don't want them. We won't eat them.
Yeah.
And so why would we feed? And so, we just made a decision quite a while ago that when we buy something, we're going to buy what we would eat and that we feel good about feeding to our children. And then now it's like our children, and we don't mind, like if we go and someone gives our kids candy or someone says, hey, here, do you want a soda?
Sure.
It's once in a great while. So we're not going, hey, no, you can't have that. Oh, hey, go ahead, have some fun. It's fine. You never do it. So to have a, candy bar once in a while is just fine.
Yeah, I think, even just having cereal, so many of those cereals, most of them are just total trash.
It's diabetes in a box.
Oh man. And my kids will get up, they'll have a bowl of cereal in the morning, and then they'll have them before they go to bed. And I used to do the same thing growing up. I don't know if you did.
No, I've never been a big cereal person.
No, so that's just what I always did, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a good, smart move. Get rid of that stuff. Your kids might starve for a couple of days, but eventually they're going to start eating something.
Yeah, I always say there's no such thing as a picky child. They're just not hungry enough.
Yeah.
Right. And so like every morning, I cook breakfast every morning. I cook.
Right.
And I just cook eggs and fruit, so it's really easy. And, my kids love eggs and fruit now because they know that's what they're going to get.
No, that's, I learned that when I was young hunting with my dad because, you go hunting and he's like, hey, this is what we got. This is what you're going to. And I've really never been a picky eater, but so I tried that with my boy, right? Bridger and I, we went hunting, did a coyote hunt out in Nevada, and we drove a long ways. And I just brought some chicken. You've been hunting with me before, so I'll usually get some fried chicken, right? And he'll eat that. Yeah. But then I'll have, some sandwich stuff, and he's funny. He doesn't like sandwiches right now. He doesn't like hamburgers, like the stuff you'd think kids would like. He doesn't like it. So anyway, we're on our way out there, and he's like starving, and I'm like, well, I got what I got, and he just won't eat it, right? Had a couple protein bars. So luckily, we went through this little tiny town in Nevada, small, and I think it was a Sunday afternoon, actually. We were driving out. We left after church, and we were driving out there. And there was a old restaurant, and they had pizza. He got lucky.
Had a piece of pizza in the middle of nowhere.
And it was good pizza. It was really good pizza. So he got lucky on that one. I was like, dang it. I kind of wanted him to have to not,
have to tough it out.
you got to figure it out, dude.
Well, I think that's a lot of times in life, right? Those little things teach us that. Like I remember one time, I hated onions, right? Like I wouldn't eat onions growing up. Oh. And we were at the lake one time, and I was so hungry, and this guy had made patty melts, which is basically a hamburger with onions and cheese on it,
Yep.
And I was so hungry. I'm like, I'll eat anything at this point. And that was the best tasting hamburger I'd ever had in my life.
You were starving.
And ever since then, I'm like, yeah, I'll love it. I'll eat it forever because I was hungry. But I realized that this is pretty good, And I think a lot of times when we get in those situations where we have to challenge maybe what's been comfortable for us, that's when we say, we're open to trying new things. Like, hey, this is uncomfortable, but it turned out okay. So maybe in the future I'll try something more too.
For sure.
Because I probably was never a picky eater. I've never been a picky eater. But I've definitely over the years, now I'll eat anything almost, I'm not a picky eater at all, but I think it started because I realized those little things along the way, hey, it is pretty good if you just try it. But I think another thing is trying it when you're hungry. If you're hungry enough, nothing tastes great if you're not that hungry.
Everything tastes better when you're hungry. Everything tastes better when you're outdoors too, it seems like to me.
Yeah. Well, in nature, I think that's a good point. But how many people spend a lot of time out in nature to realize that, right? I think you're tired and you're worn out sometimes. You spend a lot of time outside and you're in the sun. And I think food just tastes better naturally when you're in that environment.
Yeah, no, I do too. Yeah, I get questions all the time. Okay, what's your diet? What's your workout schedule like? Whatever, And I'm sure you get that same question. I think people are always, I'm always asking too. I always want to know if somebody looks fit, they are fit. If I go on a mountain bike ride and they kick my butt, I'm like, hey, what's your diet like? I want to know, Yep. And so I'm always learning and researching, how can I improve my diet? Recently you told me about the carnivore diet.
Yep.
Started looking at that. Very impressive, compelling research with that diet.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. So I've been trying to do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I'm not like 100%.
How do you feel?
Good. I'm probably, I would say 80% doing it. And you told me about it. You eat like 2 ribeyes a day. That's basically your diet right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I didn't believe it, man. I think I was pretty much. At one point I was a raw vegan.
Right.
So I not only did I only eat fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, but we didn't even cook it, right? So we were living on salads, and I just got so skinny and didn't have a lot of energy. And for a lot of years, so I started adding a little bit of meat. And I would say that I was probably 20% meat in my diet, 80% vegetables and fruit. And honestly felt pretty good and looked okay, but didn't have a ton of energy. And, you know, I've got my blood done over the years. I go get physicals and stuff like that. And my testosterone was never low, but it was never, you know, it was never high. It was never high average either, right? It was usually average. And so I started hearing about this. I'm like, I just don't believe it. But what do I have to lose? I might as well try.
Yeah.
So I just started trying it. And I would eat this carnivore diet for 2 or 3 days. And I just thought, man, how can this be good for me when I'm not eating any vegetables? Like it just, you know, and so then I would go back. And
or carbs, right? Like,
or carbs,
I feel like
yeah.
You've got to have those carbs.
Yeah, for energy or something like that. And but I've learned as I've done my research that actually our body doesn't need carbs to thrive, right? There is no necessity for carbs, right? We don't need them. I think there's probably some good reasons for carbs, right? Especially if you're going to work out, high intensity workout, stuff like that.
Yeah, muscles eat up carbs for sure.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to...
We're talking about fruit though, like the right kind of carbs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like grains and, you know, cereals and stuff like this is highly processed. It's just stuff that I don't think naturally our body was designed to eat. Like think about eating a bowl of rice, right? Think about farming a bowl of rice. Think about how much work it would take to get that much rice without modern day technology and then constantly doing it. I don't know if our bodies were designed to eat like that. I think it's okay once in a while. Everything's okay once in a while, right?
There's that book, Carnivore?
It's called the Carnivore Code. Yeah.
And you read that, and he actually talks about a lot of stuff that's really controversial because, I mean, a lot of stuff that's the opposite of what you would ever think when it comes to like vegetables and fruits. Like a lot of vegetables are actually toxic.
Yep. And I think if you think about it, and if you ever talk to a botanist or you ever talk to someone who understands plants produce toxins to defend themselves. Yeah. Right. And so, you know, and then if you're a vegan or you eat a lot of plants, I started noticing that, oh yeah, I have always had like bloating and I'm always burping and, you know, I've always got gas and this kind of stuff that we think is normal. And then you read a book like, hey, our bodies aren't designed to do that. I mean, something's wrong.
Like broccoli and Brussels sprouts and stuff that we don't naturally like.
Right.
There's a reason we don't naturally like it.
Yes.
The people, I like Brussels sprouts. Yeah, when you put a bunch of butter on them and a bunch of bacon with them, maybe.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Or garlic. But if you just eat a plain Brussels sprout, come on.
Yeah.
Do you really like that?
Yeah.
Do you really like the taste of raw broccoli?
No. And no. And we don't naturally crave these foods, right?
No.
So I think people say, well, I do like them, and they've created this palate for them. But yeah, I think that naturally, I watch my youngest son, who's 3 years old, and he's been like this forever. Yeah. We would, even before we were doing this, we'd cook him dinner, and we'd have like meat, rice, and a veggie, and he would eat the meat, and that's it. Yep. And we were like, dude, will you eat your veggies
naturally,
or whatever?
He's like,
do? No, I'm not doing it.
Oh.
And then now that we're eating this way, we're like, maybe he has this intuition, this God-given thing inside of him that says, this is what I want and this is how I thrive. And then I started noticing that stuff with me too. Like, man, I just felt stronger. I'm not bloated, don't have gas. And I would do it for a couple weeks at a time and I felt so good. And then I'd go back and then, man, I'd start feeling bloated and lose energy. And I would have food cravings. I think the biggest thing for me is I would crave food.
Right. Yeah. You eat a little bit of bad stuff and you want more bad stuff.
Yeah. You're driving down the road, you go, you know what sounds good right now? It's like pizza or sushi or whatever. And I would constantly do that. And we should go here for dinner on Saturday night or whatever. And now I just don't have a food craving at all.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
Have you?
And my boys, it's interesting because I've started to feed them about a steak every day, you know, just a little sirloin or whatever, and they like it. That's what they want. In fact, they'll ask for steak. That's what they want to eat.
Yeah. So
awesome. I think there's something to all this. Yeah. So, you know, I think I'd like to hear your typical day on a diet. I'll tell you mine real quick first, just because I know people, they always ask. So I eat about 3,000 calories a day. By the way, if you want to lose weight, you got to be at a calorie deficit. That's all there is to it. There's no such thing as losing weight.
It's a mathematical equation.
So people go, what do I got to do to lose weight? Make sure you're at a calorie deficit no matter what you eat.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how good you eat. If you're not at a calorie deficit, you will not lose weight. So, but I don't know that losing. I mean, if losing weight's your goal, that's your goal. But
Right.
I think I don't think that we so much have a fat problem in the. Well, some people have a fat problem, but I think it's more people have a muscle deficiency problem. They don't have enough muscle. If we have enough muscle, it burns fat, right?
I would agree with that.
So we need to eat properly to build muscle and have enough activity, physical activity to build muscle. And everybody's different. I think you got to find something that works for you. So I'll tell you what works for me. This might not work for you, but it works for me. So I'll get up in the morning. Much like you, I'll do, depending on the time of year. So like this time of year, it's summertime, and I'll usually alternate weights one day, and I might go on a run too, or just do weights, and then I'll do like a mountain bike ride the next day. So I kind of alternate that. So I've been doing like a 20-mile mountain bike ride every other day.
Weight resistance and then cardio. Is that your thinking, or just weight resistance and some form of exercise?
So what I like about mountain biking is it is cardio, but it's also it's a good full body workout if you're riding in technical stuff, which around here in Southern Utah is technical trails. So I get a good core workout, and then when I get off the bike, I'll usually do some arms. I mean, I'm always doing a little bit of weights every day. I'll just throw them in real quick. Yeah. So I'll ride. Like today, I rode 20 miles, took about an hour and 40 minutes. Yesterday I did weights, so I did what I do yesterday, chest and back, and I also did some deadlifts. And then like tomorrow is weights again, so I'll probably do like squats and arms and shoulders. So that's kind of my basic routine. I mean, I'm pretty active that way. And then in the fall and the wintertime when I'm hunting all the time, I'm usually not mountain biking very much. I'll usually just go to the gym and run just because I can get it done quicker. Mm-hmm. So I can go to the gym for 45 minutes, lift 45 minutes to an hour, and then run for 40 minutes or so, do a 5-6 mile run. And I'll do that pretty much every day through the winter. And my diet is, so I wake up in the morning first thing. I'll usually do a little bit of caffeine, I'll do some pre-workout, and I don't like the pre-workout that has a ton of caffeine, so I'll look for one that has maybe 100 milligrams, so not a lot. I'll throw some honey in there, and that's all I'll do before my workout. After my workout, I'll do a smoothie. In my smoothie, I do 2 cups of berries. I'll do I've been doing almond milk actually. And then I'll do about 50 grams of protein, so quite a bit of protein in there, a banana. I'll take that, and then about 2 hours after that, I'll eat 3 eggs, a couple egg whites with a English muffin, and then some Greek yogurt with some honey and some fruit, usually pineapple, a cup of fruit, cup of pineapple. And then later on in the day, I'll do steak, ribeye, with some Mountain Ops ammo. Okay. And then at night, I'll do maybe a hamburger patty with cheddar or 2. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'll throw in our grocery store, Harmon's here, has these pumpkin cookies. Mm-hmm. And I'll have like 3 of those. And those seem to just like give me a good dose of like, fill me up, energy. Yeah. I know they're probably not like super healthy, but they're not that bad. And they actually make me feel pretty good when I'll have those with like, and again, I know almond milk's not like, we've been learning about this carnivore diet, right? So almond milk's supposed to be bad for you, but I don't know, I'm used to it, I guess. And that's pretty much my day. So that's my diet. That's my workout schedule, workout routine. I try to get at least 7 hours of sleep a night. I feel like I function best if I do that. Obviously, it doesn't always happen. We got a teenage daughter now who's out late, so we're out later. And I'm always up. I get up 5:30. Yeah,
you've always gotten up early, huh?
I'm a morning guy. I'm a morning guy more than a night guy. So yeah, how about you? What's your daily routine?
Yeah, I think mine's probably more simple. For my diet, I wake up. I'm big on cooking my family breakfast every morning. I just think there's 2 times I want my family to be together, and I'm very particular about it, is in the morning for breakfast and at night for dinner.
I love the breakfast thing because it's before everybody gets their day started. Yes. I mean, how many people get to do that, get to do a breakfast with their family first thing?
Yeah, most people don't. And for me, it's a big thing because I really feel like having my family to start the day, we can set our intentions, just being around each other, just intentional time that I spend with my family around breakfast. So I cook breakfast every morning, and almost always it's the same thing. I eat 5 or 6 eggs, and then I'll have a cup of fruit. And that cup, I'm not talking a measured cup. I just eat as much as, whatever.
You're satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And usually I do strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries or, if they're in season, I'll have mangoes, bananas, stuff like that, pineapple, seasonal fruit. I always buy organic fruit, so usually that runs with seasons. So I'll do eggs and fruit for breakfast. And then for lunch, I just do bone broth, and then I add in collagen. So usually there's about 55 grams of protein in my lunch. So just bone broth and collagen.
Drink.
Yeah, just a drink. And I put a little bit of salt and some butter in it.
Cool.
And that's all I do for lunch. And then I eat dinner usually around 5 o'clock, and I'll eat a ribeye. Almost every night I eat a ribeye.
So how many calories does that work out to be in a day?
I don't even know.
I would guess 2,000 to 2,500 would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 180 pounds, and I stay about 180 pounds.
You're starting to get more active. You have plenty of energy? Like
Oh
you don't
my
need more
gosh,
food than that?
I feel like I'm 20 years old. But I also eat until I'm full.
Okay.
So I don't, like if at breakfast I've eaten 6 eggs and some fruit and I'm still hungry, I'll just eat some more fruit.
Okay. You ever tracked it?
No,
You should just track it just to see.
Yeah, I could.
Just see where you're at. I want to know. I want to know like about where you're at.
Yeah,
Because I do
know.
3,000 calories and I'm still hungry a lot of days.
Are you?
But if I start eating more, I start to gain a little fat, so I back it off.
Yeah.
And that might just be a craving thing because I need to tighten up my diet a little more, like you've got. Maybe if I got rid of I should probably just not eat the English muffin in the morning. I don't really crave it or even like it. I kind of just I have a mental block that you need those extra little carbs, right? And again,
I think we were taught those things for so long, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do feel better if I don't eat that, especially in the morning.
Yeah.
If it's just protein and fats, and I do have my protein shake, which I guess I have a banana in there, and so that's carbs.
Yeah, I kind of started doing bone broth. That was my protein shake.
Yeah.
Because, I can drink a cup of bone broth and there's 55 grams of protein in it, and there's no filler.
That's a simplified
protein shake. Yeah, there's nothing in it, right? I started doing it because I would try to find good protein, and I would get these bottle, and there's all these, even a good one that's considered good, there's so much fillers and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't want that stuff, right? I just want it to be simple, and I don't really care what it tastes like, right? I remember you told me something early on, dude. It impacted me so much. I was probably 21 or 22, and I don't even know where we're at, but I remember you said, Jeff, you need to learn to eat to live, not live to eat. I'm like, dang, dude, like it hit me, right? Because normally I would just eat like, man, I want pizza, and I was craving a hamburger. I'm gonna go eat a hamburger, I work out, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
But when you said that, I started realizing like, yeah, if I eat to provide my body with nutrition, I'm going to feel better. And if I feel better, I'm going to do better. And if I do better and I get that result from it, and I know this is why, I feel great doing that. I have no problem eating the way I eat. And I enjoy it. Like last night, I cooked 2 ribeyes. And I cooked 2 ribeyes. I cut them up. I put it on a cutting board in the center of the table. And we just ate. We just ate till we were full. And I don't know how, I probably ended up eating 1.5 of them. My family eat the rest.
And a ribeye has pretty much every little bit of nutrition your body needs. You could live on a ribeye.
You can, not just live, you can thrive on a ribeye.
It's pretty cool.
They're
expensive. It would be expensive to just eat ribeyes, but would it though really be, right? Because if you're feeling that much better, you're that much more productive, is it more expensive?
Yeah,
and you don't have to do a ribeye, you could do ground beef. Ground beef you can do very similar.
Yeah, ground beef too. Yeah, I think if you get high-fat ground beef, it's definitely not near as good.
Right.
But I think there's a whole another thing. I think there's a reason why it's more expensive. And that leads down to this whole other path of the reason why, so many people are eating these vegan diets that don't have all these nutrients and stuff in them. And I think it leads to a whole other list of issues that we can talk about in a second.
Well, I eat a vegan diet. I just eat the vegetables after they've been recycled into meat.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly. so technically, we're secondhand vegans.
We're totally vegan.
Yeah, technically. Yeah.
So anybody gives any crap, we are vegan.
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely.
We only eat things that only eat grass.
Exactly.
That's awesome. But yeah, so that's my diet. And I feel great. It is probably a 3-month-old, maybe 4 months by now thing that I've been doing. But I feel like I'm 20 years old. Like I was saying, I did a Murph today.
Yeah.
47 minutes. And like I said, I think I could probably get sub 40 if I was competing with somebody. And it's not like I don't train for anything. I just work out consistently. And that brings me to the next thing is my workout regimen. I think more important than how you work out or what you do is how consistent you are. just do something every day to move, lift something heavy or do something hard every day, right? If you do that every day, you're going to have a lot of success. So rather than what kind of workout, I think, like you said, you need to find something that works for you, something you love. Same thing with a diet. Like I love a ribeye. I could eat a ribeye every single night and I never get sick of it. I go to a restaurant, I order the same food, right? I order a ribeye every time. The other night we went to Ruth's Chris and I got the porterhouse, a 2-inch, it was amazing, man. I just never get sick of it. So I could do it forever. But on working out, I just, pretty simple. I do resistance training one day, so heavy, right? So I'll do very heavy. So let's say it's a week. On Mondays, I'll do very heavy weights, whether it's squats, whether it's bench, whatever body part I'm doing. I do very heavy weights one day. Then the next day, I'll do some form of cardio forward workout. Like today, I did a Murph. I think CrossFit workouts are really good for that kind of stuff.
Yep.
When I do resistance training only, I jump rope for 15 minutes after. So that's my cardio. If I'm only lifting weights, I jump rope for 15 minutes, no matter what. Straight. I don't stop.
It's a long time to jump rope, yeah.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I used to do like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and it was tough. Now 15 minutes, I just get bored, to be honest with you. That's why I stop. And I think it's sufficient. So then the next day I'll do some kind of, like I said, today I did a Murph or some sort of like something that's heavy and hard, but it takes a lot of like cardio effort, right? Cardiovascular effort. And then the next day I'll do a light workout, more rep for it. So if I'm going to do squats rather than doing...
You'll use the pink weights.
Yeah, exactly. So the light ones, right? Yeah, so then I'll do more like where I'm going to do very strict on my form. Like if I'm going to do squats where I'm sitting on my ankles all the way, so I'm doing less weight, but I'm doing 30 or 40 reps every set. And so I kind of do that. And for me, I like to do those because I feel like those workouts help me prevent injury. And so that's why I try to do this. So that's kind of my workout schedule.
Yeah.
I take a break when my body feels like it. So people say, when's your rest day? If I feel like I need a rest day, I take a rest day. It's not very often.
Yoga, you doing any yoga?
Yeah, I do yoga.
Yeah.
I stretch every single night. So one of the things I do every night where most people watch TV, I stretch for about probably 30 or 45 minutes every night without fail. I stretch and I have the same routine, and it's basically because I've done yoga for a lot of years. Yeah. So it's kind of like a routine I've gotten from that. But every night I stretch, and I feel good when I stretch too. I think that I was listening to a podcast the other day from Andrew Huberman about stretching and longevity and actually what it does to your brain. Actually he says that there's very much scientific evidence saying that the more you stretch, the higher your pain tolerance. How cool.
Makes total sense.
So
yeah, I could use some more stretching yoga type stuff. I haven't got into yoga, and I keep saying I need to do it, but I just have this again. It's this I feel like there's no pump in yoga, so I feel like if I go to yoga, but I know it's. I mean, if I did it, I'd probably feel way better.
Yeah, it's tough. I think yoga is a workout that most people underestimate.
Oh, a couple times I've done it, no question.
Yeah.
No, it's tough. So I might compete with you for the Murph later. But I got my shoulder. I got to
get your shoulder back.
So it's still, ever since we went hunting, last October, it's, what are we now? June. It's still messed up. So I went to a guy that does muscle alignment here. And he does a good job, but I went to him twice now, and it's getting better. He is, but man, it's painful. He goes and separates your muscles, and I guess my muscles were like overlapping each other on my back and shoulder. So when that gets better, then maybe I'll do the Murph challenge with you.
Let's do it, man.
I've done it before. I never timed myself before though, so I just did it and did it as quick as I could. I have no idea how long it took me. So
I really enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. I've done it quite a few times now. The first time I did it unweighted, and then I'm like, man, I got to do it weighted, and then now I'm just like trying to beat my time every time. It's cool.
That's awesome. It's really good. Yeah. So we should probably talk a little bit about why we. Some of the reasons we do this stuff. You talked about the importance of consistency. I think consistency is so crucial because you're not always going to be motivated. Right. And I think when you're not motivated to do something, that consistency and those habits you build get you through those moments because you'll do it anyway because and that's always kind of been my play when I was on my mission, serving my mission. My companions would always say, Elder Neil's the machine, because I would just get up in the morning and just work out. Didn't feel like it every morning, but I would I would. In my mind, I'd go, just do it as if you were a computer programmed to do it.
It's just what I do, like brushing my teeth, right? It's just what I do.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's what I've tried to just continue to adapt. And, I think that's really good. But you also, I think as I've gotten older, I've also realized that I also need to be able to adjust and pivot when necessary and when needed.
Right.
And sometimes I get so focused and so caught up in my habits every single day, it's hard to break out of that.
Yeah. It's kind of like we were talking about the change from 75 hard, right? Just the change in the habits, right?
Yes. And
that discipline.
So I think one of the reasons I haven't actually committed to do 75 hard is because I'm like, well, I justify it, right? I'm already doing it, and it's change, and who wants to do change? But change is healthy, and it does stretch us. So
yeah, and I think even more so than the change, being disciplined to the uncomfortable emotions and feelings you get amongst change.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's why, like, when you wake up every morning and do it, and that's how I am. Like, when I'm like today, when I was doing the Murph, I was dying, right? But this is what I'm doing. I don't, it doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to stop. It doesn't matter how much I hurt, right? Unless I pass out, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going.
You made that decision when you started, you're going to do it.
Yes. I'm not worried. Oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore because I hurt. Yeah, it's supposed to hurt.
In fact, that's when it makes, that's when it counts, right?
Yeah. I tell
everything prior to that part doesn't matter, right?
Exactly. That's everything we do in life, right? Up to the pain. You should work to get to the point where it hurts, and then from the hurt on is where all the gains come from. Yeah, no matter what it is. It's even like right now, right? Our country's going into a recession. You see the market crashing and burning. What do most people freak out and do? They start selling, making emotional decisions. My wife and I were having a conversation on the way over here, and I just said, these are the times where if you have discipline and you just stay consistent, you go, you know what? Yeah, it's happening. And do I pay attention? Yeah. And is it frustrating? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because I'm not changing what I'm doing. Right? Yeah. I'm going to keep doing because I'm going to stay consistent because I already made a decision.
You learn the fundamentals of what works long term, and you stay the course.
Exactly.
And then you're not freaking out when things are changing, going up and down all the time. It's when I get in my own head is if I invest in something that in my mind I thought was going to be more short term gain. Every time those never work out, right? And you look at the wealthiest people in the world, all of them are long-term investors. There's no day traders that are wealthy, right? For example. I mean, so, you look at the strategy, you look at the what works. It's like all the crypto stuff going right now. I think if you understood the technology behind it, crypto's way down from where it was. But if you understand the technology, probably going to be pretty good in the future, right? Long-term.
Yep.
And I think those that are freaking out maybe about that, well, maybe you need to do more research before you invest into it.
Make a decision up front of what are your goals. For sure. Right. And then when something happens that you didn't expect to happen, then this is I already have a goal, so it doesn't matter, right? It's like if you're going to drive from point A to point B, and let's say you see a car accident happen and you stop to help. It doesn't mean you go, okay, we're going to go back home after you help that individual.
You reroute.
Yeah. You're still going to the destination. I think a lot of times people don't see massive success in their life because what stops them from being consistent are these emotions, whether it's with their money and something happened in the market, whether it's with their fitness and they got the flu, or they're out of town, or they don't feel great that day. So what? It's irrelevant how you feel. What matters is what you do. Right. There's a lot of people who don't feel like doing it, but the people that end up winning are the ones that do it anyway.
Yep. Absolutely. Right? No question. No question. So how does this stuff, I think we wanted to talk a little bit today about what's made the difference between you, I guess, I don't even know how to explain it. Become a real man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or, how do we become real men? Do people see us as real men? I feel funny saying, I'm a real man.
Yeah.
I don't like to say that. So I have a hard time even saying it.
It's like Pinocchio. I'm a real boy.
But I think we want to kind of talk about a little bit about what kind of makes a real man versus somebody who's putting on a facade and trying to be a man, and just what are the characteristics of somebody, in your opinion, in our opinion, I guess, of what a real man is and what that looks like. How do we? I mean, I think working out and talking about this stuff is a piece of that, right? I know for me, if I feel like I'm fit, I feel better about myself, which is
Yes.
a
Important.
start, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because you're never going to outperform your self-image. You'll never be something you don't see yourself as, right? So if you don't see yourself as being a great man, right? We can use that rather than a real man,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
A great man. If you don't see yourself as that, you'll never become that. You're only going to become what you see yourself as. I used to give a talk on this one year. Well, every year we would do a Halloween party, right? So we would throw these big parties and we would have a themed party. And what I loved about themed parties is people can show up kind of, in that theme, and it's funny. But it could be like let's say it's like a Western themed party. Well, there's some people that are going to show up that they didn't have to put on a costume because that's who they were. And they felt like if they show up to, hey, I am a cowboy, this is who I am, right? But some people show up and feel like they're in a Halloween costume because that's not who they are. But you wouldn't tell the difference between those two people
On
in
the
a crowd.
outside.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just who do they see themselves as? So you're never going to become something that you don't see yourself as. So I think it's important for us to say, first of all, I want to be a great man.
Yeah.
And I think why? Like why, as we have this conversation, like why is it important for us to be great men, for us to raise strong men? Like how does it make the world a better place? Because really, we only get one shot at life. And if we get one shot and I'm a believer, and I follow Christ, and I believe that I'm here to bring people closer to him, right? And I can either ask someone to do that, or I can be the man that people look at and go, I want to be like that. And how do you do that? And then they give me the ability to influence them.
Okay.
Right? Because influence is earned.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Like I've allowed you to influence my life in almost every area, right? But that's because, you were that person, and then I allowed that influence, right? But there were hundreds of people around us. There were, when I first met you that night, there were hundreds of people there, and as far as I know, I'm the only one in that room that said, you know what, I'm going to leave this room and become a multimillionaire because of that, right? Everybody else had the same choice, same environment, same everything, but I allowed you to influence me. And so I realized in a big way that putting yourself in position to allow where people will allow you to influence them is what leadership is all about, whether it's with my family, whether it's with my spiritual life, whether it's in fitness or whatever. But I want to be a great man because I think that it allows us to influence people in positive ways. And I think by doing that, we were talking earlier, I was raised by a single mom, and I think that in her era, I guess, or the world she was raising children in was this environment where it was like women's rights, right? Which I was raised by a single mom. I love her. She's my mother, right? She's worked hard for me. She put food on the table. I'm here because of her. And I want her life to be better, but in no way did that movement help my mother's life, because if my mom would have had a strong man in her life that was willing to do hard things and uncomfortable things and provide for our family, yeah, my mom could have still worked. My mom would have. She's a hard worker, right? She's goal-driven, but it would have made her life better. It would have made our life better because there was this strong man in the
She didn't have
picture.
to take on a role that she wasn't supposed to take on.
Exactly.
Right? Men have roles and women have roles, and I'm proud of that. I think that's awesome.
I think we should celebrate that.
I do too.
Isn't that celebrating diversity, though? That we're different?
Yeah, I think so.
And so if a woman has a role and my role is different, that is a diverse role.
And one role isn't better than the other either.
No.
Right?
No.
They're just different, know?
Yes.
I mean, you look at a mother and I mean, they're nurturing and they're supposed to be, and if they want to go work and provide too, wonderful,
Yeah.
right? But I don't think that's their natural instinctive.
It's not the way God designed it to be.
I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
And I don't believe so either. And whereas a man can be nurturing to his kids as well, but also his main job, provide, preside, protect, right? And so as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about, okay, what are some of the characteristics of a great man? And I think we can maybe go through and talk about these. Strong, and we can
Yes.
talk about what strong means. Humble, right? And we can talk about that too. Dangerous, but dangerous under control. I think a great man is a dangerous man who knows how to, and when I say dangerous, can be dangerous if needed, right? And protective. And I would say meek, right? I've heard it said before, if you think being meek is weak, try being meek for a week.
Yep.
And I think meekness is strength under control.
Yes.
And I mean, those are some characters. We go on and on, but maybe we can kind of talk about some of those. I don't know what else you're thinking of, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other things as well, but I think those are great things. Like being dangerous, for example. You know, one of the things we were talking about earlier is that I truly believe that every man should be trained in some kind of, whether it's combat sport or whether it's, you know, some competitive sport, something where they feel strong. Because what happens when somebody feels like they're not threatened, they're much more likely to respond in a positive way.
Yep.
Right.
Amen.
And so the reason people feel threatened usually is because they're in a vulnerable position. And vulnerability is a weakness exposed.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're strong and you're dangerous and it's controlled, then you have the ability, I think, to maintain composure in situations that are important to maintain composure.
Yes.
Which makes people feel safe.
Well, I think, and that can be a physical limitation. It can also be a mental limitation, right?
Yeah, I would say most of the time mental is first.
Yeah.
And then leads to physical.
I would too. And maybe somebody is challenging them on some of their beliefs, and they're maybe not real grounded in the beliefs they have, and so they feel threatened.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we got to go. All of us need to always be looking at, okay, who are we? What do we believe? And really grounding ourselves in what we believe we are, right? So that if we do get challenged, by the way, being challenged is a good thing, because it makes you question, right, why do I believe the way that I do? And that's what, you know, gaining a testimony is in the bearing of your testimony, right? And that can be the way you live.
Right.
So I agree. I think, you know, and I think physically, some sort of combat sport, wrestling, you were a boxer, you know, could be MMA stuff. Yep. Not to be this person that's going to go beat people up, but because it's going to help you gain that assurance of, I mean, you're more sure of yourself. Confidence.
Yeah, because threatened people act out, right? Threatened people respond irrationally. And so if you feel like I have this strength, I don't even respond irrationally. I can respond. I know, or I feel in a situation that if I have control, mental control, physical control, why do I need to respond irrationally? I don't, right? Yeah. And so I think if we had more men in this world that taught other men that as well, it would create safety in homes, right? Where children would be raised in these environments where they know they're safe. I'm safe because dad's home, right? And if we look at the wild, isn't that how it works in the wild? Yeah, if we look at animals,
absolutely.
Isn't that what really the dad is there to protect? And you know, right? I mean, you look at lions, for example. You know, it's a very obvious. You can see the hierarchy structure. And I think there's a lot of benefit from that happening in homes, whether it's with young boys or young girls. I think every young girl sees her dad as the strong man. And I think it would be a great thing as she grows up and realize he is a strong man. She grows up and realizes, oh my gosh, maybe he wasn't, but he actually is that man I always thought he was.
Yeah, and you know, I'll say this too. I mean, I think when it comes to talking about strong men, I know men that maybe don't appear to be physically strong, but are very strong, right? They're spiritually strong. They're mentally and emotionally strong. And I have the utmost respect for those guys, you know, and maybe we are all, I think, given different gifts to perform in different areas of life, right? And so some of these men, they might be those that are the I don't know, the coaches, or the people that are leaders in churches, or therapists, or, you know, life coaches,
or innovators, people to make our lives better through technology and stuff.
Absolutely, but some of those men are, I would say, I don't know if intimidating is the right word, but almost intimidating when they walk in a room, because you know how, you know, like Elon Musk isn't the most jacked guy in the world, but that dude's done some stuff, right?
And he's very confident.
Yes.
Yeah, he knows what he's trying to do. He's not threatened by anybody. Yeah. I mean, look at what's happening. You watch him, this whole Twitter thing right now. You watch him posting on Twitter. Someone will attack him, and his response is very controlled. He's not threatened.
He's not emotional about it one bit.
No, but how many other people respond in a way where they lash out at someone?
They're emotional.
Yes, because they're threatened.
Yes.
Right. And so, what a better world we would live in if we had more strong men. I've always said this too, that I believe you get peace through strength.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, the whole saying, you don't go poke an angry bear. Why? Because the result is obvious, right? So leave him alone. Let him do his thing. He won't bother me. I won't bother him, right? And I really believe there's a lot of positives that come from an environment like that, because when you are strong, I also think that it leads to this a form of strength for me that I see in others is their willingness to love unapologetically. Yeah. So I think a lot of times in our society today, when we hear these words like strong men or great men, it's almost like you're, unavailable emotionally or just like harsh or brash or whatever. And I don't think that's necessarily strength. No. I think the ability to like love the Lord unapologetically, like I love the Lord and to be willing to know who you are, express your emotions, and not feel like that you're worried about what somebody else thinks. It takes a lot of strength to do that. Mm-hmm. And then through that strength allows, I think, another great attribute, which is a man who loves his family unapologetically and shows it, right? Mm-hmm. Shows his love, whether it's to his spouse, to his children, and it's very obvious, not just to his family, but they feel loved, but people around him watch this strong man love his family. And I think there's a lot of strength in that because it does take a real man to express emotions that maybe are uncomfortable, I guess, because we've been programmed that it's not right. So it takes a lot of strength.
We're programmed that it's weak to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from exactly, but I mean, it's if it's strong to ask for help, right? And I think a lot of times I catch myself with this all the time. I can do it. I got this. I can do it because I want to do it and I want to be the one. But hey, there's plenty of times if I would just ask for help, not only would that actually be the better and stronger decision, it would help me get stronger and actually, like I've talked to Lexi about this, my wife, all the time, because she loves it when I ask for help, whether it be from her or somebody else. She loves me reaching out, and I still don't want to reach out. I got this. Yeah. It's like when we as men, we get lost. We don't want to ask for directions, right? Yeah. Or we're putting something together. I don't need the instructions. I got this. Yeah. And I fall into that. In fact, I talked about my dad a couple episodes ago, but just watching him with, when there was something to put together or be fixed, he would always read about it first, and I look back and think, man, he's a real man. You know, he's a great man, and so I don't know, man. I think so much of society has made us do the opposite of what strong really is.
And I think you're right. I also believe that that's the reason why we're seeing the result of right now is what's happening in the world today. I mean, you see these homes that are broken. I mean, the overwhelming majority of households young children are growing up in are single-parent households, which means, something happened in that relationship, right? And I think having a strong man is someone who's willing to be vulnerable emotionally, but also willing to be controlled in his emotions, right? I can, I have these emotions. I'm willing to be vulnerable, but I can control them as well. Like there's a time and a place, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be mad. That's going to happen. These are emotions. What's not okay is to not control it. And I think the lack of control or the lack of discipline is a lot of times what causes challenges in relationships too. Because it takes a strong man to say, you know what, I messed up. I was wrong. I should have handled that situation that way. Even with your children, like, I don't know about you, but I've made mistakes with my children. None of us are perfect. Yeah. And maybe, my son does something or whatever, and I snap, and I have to say, you know what, I'm sorry. Yeah. I didn't handle that perfectly. You have to be willing. And I think there's a lot of strength in that, to be willing to own up to your mistakes as well.
And not only that, I think also if your spouse makes a mistake, being able to forgive as well. Yes. And that's not always easy, right? Like we can always say sorry for what we've done and expect forgiveness, but it goes the other way too. Yep. And I mean, how many times are you going to have to apologize to your kids or your spouse throughout your lifetime? Yep. Like thousands of times, right?
You should. Yeah. I guess you don't have to, but you should.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. And I think that's such a big key. I think there's, Yeah, and I think another thing too is when it comes to a relationship between a husband and a wife, what's the proper dynamic there? You know, I think growing up, you know, there was more people or fewer people, I guess, that I saw that were in single family or single parent households compared to today. But I would also see when I was growing up, some men that were, well, I don't know. It was just the man. The man comes home, wife has dinner ready. You know, the husband comes home, he's grumpy from work, eats his dinner. You know, he's grumpy, watches TV, goes to bed, right?
Does it all over again tomorrow.
And does all the next day. And I think that that might be still something that's in our society, in our heads, that's what you do, right, Mom? And I think there's a term, unrighteous dominion, right, where that can mean a lot of things. But how do we as men and as husbands and fathers make sure that we're not exercising that? And I'll even say, I mean, there's different levels to this, I think, and we can always get better at these kind of things. But I'll even look at sometimes where I go, hey, you know what, we earn this income as a couple, but sometimes I go, I earned it.
Yeah.
And so when I want to go buy something, I would just go buy it without saying, hey, Lex, I'm thinking about getting this, whatever it is,
Having
right?
a conversation with her first.
Getting this new gun, right?
Yeah.
And I still make the mistake today sometimes where I'll just go buy something like I need to ask her first, or at least let her know.
Yeah.
And because I expect her to do the same thing for me.
Right.
And so anyway, I just think that there's things that we got to be aware of. We're a team. You know, my wife and I are a team. It's not. I do believe that the man's role is to preside, but I believe once you're married, you preside as a team.
Yes.
And you're equals.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think as you say those things, you know, it's like forgiveness. Believe it or not, my wife bought a house without my knowledge.
That's a pretty
before.
big deal, dude.
So she didn't just like go buy some shoes or a car. She bought a house.
Independent.
Yeah, without. And so, you know, when you're talking about like forgiveness, I mean, honestly, yeah, I was mad or whatever. I mean, it ultimately was a great decision. And that's the thing about my wife. She makes very wise decisions, and I respect that about her. But when you talk about forgiveness, I think that the reason most people have a hard time forgiving, like, dude, I'll be honest with you, I believe one of my God-given talents was the ability to forgive. I can't hold a grudge to save my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't want to hold a grudge. No. And I've learned that throughout the years. And because when I was young, I had all of these challenges, man. I grew up in a bad environment and stuff. And so I was always threatened and embarrassed about how I grew up and all this kind of stuff. And the older I get, the more I realize that I'm not perfect. Nobody else is perfect. I don't expect you to be perfect. And so if I don't expect you to be perfect and I'm willing to forgive you, then I would hope that you would forgive me because I'm not going to be perfect, right? And the willingness to be forgiving is really in the same sentence as reducing your ego, right? Because the reason you don't want to forgive is because you have a giant ego. Mm-hmm. Like, how dare them? I used to tell people all the time, I was like, imagine Jesus recruited 12 people and someone quit on him. Mm-hmm. You meant Jesus could have said, can you believe this guy quit on me, you know? Mm-hmm. But that's not what happened, right? And so a lot of times, you know, when people have these lack of forgiving situations, it's really, how dare them? Who do they think they are to do something like that to me? Rather than just saying, you know, I love them anyway. I'm going to love them for who they are. You know, hopefully their intentions were right. If they weren't, then it's my response that matters most. It's my response that's going to make me a great man or not. Yeah. It's the way I respond to the situation that is going to teach my children that they can depend on me or they can rely upon me in a hard situation. Yeah. You know, it's how I respond to it that's going to determine whether or not I was strong. It was like I was talking to someone on the phone on the way here, and they're having this challenge in life. And I said, hey, there's two kinds of people in life. There's only two. Mm-hmm. And when you put this challenge, you got a challenge on your shoulders right now. And it's a heavy burden you're carrying. And so the question is, are you going to let that sucker crumble you? Are you going to drop to the ground and give up and punk out and quit because it was tough and it was heavy and it was hard? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'll carry this as long as I need to until it becomes light. Mm-hmm. I will get as strong as I need to. And that strength might come through help, like you were saying. Maybe it's a coach. Maybe it's someone who needs to change your perspective. Maybe it's someone you just need to forgive. Maybe it's, I don't know, there's a million different things it could be. Sure. But your willingness to get stronger through the situation, I think, is the most important thing. And forgiveness definitely is a character trait that projects strength, if you're willing to forgive.
No, that's good. That's good. It makes me think too, just as we progress through our relationships, spouses and kids, we are going to have to re-fall in love with our partner multiple times because we're always changing.
Right.
I know I'm a different person today than I was 5 or 10 years ago. So is my wife.
Yep.
And so we've had to learn how to adapt and change.
Yep.
And change is not always easy. But if you want to, I believe if you want to have a successful long-term marriage, just get ready because it's not always going to be smooth sailing because they're going to want different things 5 or 10 years from now, maybe than they did 5 or 10. I mean,
right.
My wife is not the same person I married 22 years ago.
Right.
And
nor do you want her to be.
Nor do I want her to be. She, I mean, I love her more now than I did then.
Yeah.
And, but we all do this. I think we go, oh man, I love how she used to like this or do this, but that wasn't the person that she is supposed to become.
Yeah.
And then I go, well, actually, I mean, I've sure as heck changed a lot too. And she loves me. Hopefully she loves me more now than she ever has, but I'm different,
Right.
And, so I think that's in fact, there was a quote I was trying to think of. It was worded really good. And I can't remember who said it. Something to the effect of, you're going to have to, basically it was re-fall in love again with your spouse over and over and over again, multiple times throughout your life.
I think, I mean, you're definitely right. I mean, most people say, it's like when you succeed, right?
Yeah.
And you start making some money, you start changing your life. It's like people, oh, they changed. Of course I changed because the same me couldn't have succeeded, right? I had to become a new me. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean me as an individual. I mean, I still love the same people, but my actions, the things I value, my priorities, all of those things must change for my life to change. So I never looked at that as like, oh, he changed. I never looked at it as like a negative thing. To me, it was always a compliment.
Well, the world is going to continue to get tougher. And the reality
especially if you're weak.
Yes, absolutely. And thankfully, we've got all the tools and resources as human beings where we can cross-pollinate ideas and listen to podcasts or read books or and just constantly be improving ourselves, spiritually, physically. I mean, that's why we're talking about our diets and everything else, because all those things are helping us to be able to be strong enough to get better.
Yes.
Because, man, there's more challenge. You think it's challenging right now, it's going to become more challenging.
Yes.
But if you get stronger, those challenging times will be exciting, not detrimental to your happiness or joy, right?
Exactly. Totally agree. It was like another thing you said earlier about the guy who gets home and expects his wife to have dinner on the table. And that's awesome. I mean, if that's a role she wants to play,
if it's working, great.
That's amazing.
But here's the thing. I think back then it worked. I don't think it works as much today.
No, it's harder to survive
it's
for families, for sure.
It's crazier times today.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I would say that I look at that as, I always call it avoidance behavior. Avoiding what, right? And we've all been there. We've all come home from a long day and we've been tired and maybe all we need is a break. And that's okay for one day. But you do it day after day after day after day. That's called avoiding. And avoiding what? What are you avoiding? You're avoiding the things that matter. Or like, how about getting home and, giving your kids an excited hug that you're excited to see them. Mm-hmm. Right? And then what that starts doing is then if you come home and, you're not on your phone walking through the door, you're not, oh my gosh, like most people do when they get home, or I just need a break or turn on the TV. But instead you come home and the garage opens up and the kids are running out, Daddy, right? They want a hug. Who created that environment? You did, by being available to them with a positive attitude when you came home, which means you're being present as a father, not coming home and saying, where's my dinner? I'm going to kick my feet up and watch TV till the end of the night. I'm tired. I went and worked all day. Mm-hmm. That's fine. You went and worked all day. You were supposed to do that, right? That was an obligation for you as a man. Like I look at that as an obligation. I want to go to work. I don't have to. Nobody has to do anything. I get to. Yeah. So I look at it as it's my obligation to provide for my family. And when I get home, it's also my obligation to be a great father. Yeah. Which means I'm going to be available for them. Or then dinner. I don't have a problem cooking dinner if my wife's had a long day or whatever. Or if I don't want to cook, let's go somewhere.
Well, it comes down to having a positive attitude about it all.
Yeah.
You get to go to work tomorrow. You live in the United States of America, right? You get to go do that. You get to provide for a family that you have. You get to be a husband, a father. You get to create that environment. You don't have to. And I think that's where maybe where people get that bad attitude is, I had to work all day, I'm tired, and I have to come home and I have to do it again tomorrow. No, you get to. You get to work out tomorrow. You get to eat the way you choose to eat, right?
I also think even maybe another level, because I totally agree. In fact, I've said that so much, but I think another level beyond that is the servant mentality. Like, I want to serve my family. Mm-hmm. I want to show up, and I want to not only provide for my family, but I want to serve them. Yeah. And I want them to have this servant mentality.
Which is serving the Lord, by the way.
Exactly.
Like, if we really genuinely looked at everything we did, I'm doing this for him.
Yes.
Man, it changes. It
does.
changes how you look at things.
But then if you go even to that topic and you say, okay, I'm doing this for him. Do I have to? No, he's going to love me anyways.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because of his love, right? But then our children are going to end up doing the same thing. Yeah. Our spouses are going to do the same thing. So yeah, some days I'm tired. Who cares how I feel? If I get the opportunity to serve, I want to serve my family.
Well, I think God, my belief is he loves obedience and sacrifice more than accomplishments. Yeah. Of course he wants to accomplish things. I believe he wants to be successful beyond belief in all areas. But I think that he's looking for those that are going to be willing to sacrifice.
You know why I think that is? I think what you just said is true. Because obedience and sacrifice haven't yet led to a result, which take faith. Right. So in order for you to wake up every day and keep doing hard things and uncomfortable things and facing your fears, it takes a lot of faith to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Which, I guess you can call it obedience, or you could call it sacrifice, but really it's just taking faith to do that rather than the actual achievement. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of faith, right, to wake up every day and move forward not knowing the end result.
It does. I'm such a result-driven person that I forget that part of it. It's the sacrifice of it that's really the journey, right? The joy in the journey, we hear that. And the sacrifice of building a business and building a great family and building great fitness, I think it's the sacrifice part of it that makes it all come together. I want the result, so I'm so often I'm so focused on the result that I'm not enjoying the sacrifice part of it. Until I change my mindset, then I do enjoy the sacrifice. When I'm hunting, yep. I love the result of having a successful hunt. Now, that may or may not be harvesting an animal, but if it is harvesting a mature animal, it's so awesome.
Right.
But there's been hunts where I've gone on where I've been too focused on that and not focused on enjoying the adventure, enjoying the journey.
Right.
Life's the same way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, there is that saying that, the joys in the journey, and I've always had a hard time with that, because I really think that the joy is in the result from the journey, but you never know, you never appreciate it until you get the result, right? Yeah. And then it makes you appreciate it. And so then you find the joy. So I've always said the successful people, you're always going to hear successful people say that. The joy is in the journey.
Yeah.
You never hear someone broke saying that while they're going through it, because it sucks.
It does suck, yeah.
Right? But the reason you hear successful people say that is because
they've made it too.
Once they got the result, they realized that all the benefit, all the joy, all the greatest moments, all the greatest times they had in their career were from those hard times. The late nights, the early mornings, the times where they doubted themselves, the fears showed up, but they just kept going anyway. And then they become this incredible person in the process. And I think it's that change, the discipline, the focus, and then leading to a result. You feel so great about this result, not because of the result, but because of the sacrifice, the effort, and the energy you put in through that process. And that's why I think people say the joy is in the journey. Yeah. It is, as long as you make it to the destination.
Yeah, because when you're going through it, it is not always joy, but that's what makes it work.
And this is why, if you can learn to embrace the suck, if you can learn to just know that pain means you're growing, right? And I used to always say, you can have the pain of change or the pain of regret. The pain of change weighs ounces compared to the pain of regret weighing tons. Yeah. Well, we only get one life. And so I want to do things that make me get better, that 10 years from now I look back on it and say, I'm glad I did it, not regret not doing it because I was avoiding doing something. I want to look 10 years from now and look back on raising my children and go, you know what? I'm glad I woke up every morning and cooked breakfast. I didn't feel like doing it all the time, but I did it every morning. And I spent time with my family because of it. I'm glad we sat down and had dinner tonight. or every night with my family, because we're going to look back on those times and all the conversations and the amount of hours we spent together as a family. It wasn't always easy and it wasn't always convenient, right? I'm glad that I made the decisions that I made to go to work and make a lot of money, provide for my family, because we get to do X, Y, and Z, travel around the world, whatever it may be. I'm glad I did those things, because looking back on them, yeah, when I was going through them, yeah, they might have been hard. It might have been uncomfortable. It might have been challenging. It might have been a struggle. As long as I have a positive attitude through it, then I look back and I go, I'm glad I did those things.
Yep.
But so often people, they let 5 or 10 years go by and go, oh, dang, I got some catching up to do.
Well, here's the mindset, I think. Have you ever gone on a vacation and you're going to a destination you were just so excited about? Just the destination was just, you were just pumped to get there. You could not wait. But maybe it was a really long flight or a really long drive to get there, okay? And that flight or that drive sucked, but it was really that bad. You were so excited about the destination that journey to get there wasn't that bad. And I think that's what people have got, that's what where people go wrong, is they don't have that destination in their mind of whatever that is, whatever that success is.
Yep.
And you got to get really clear on that. It was when I was building my financial business, and I mean, I had a clear in my head exactly what life was going to look like. And I was so excited about it. I knew it was going to take 5 or 10 years, but I was so excited about that. I didn't mind the earlier mornings and the hours and hours and phone calls and driving to and from appointments and people quitting. And
in fact, it almost becomes a badge of honor, right?
Yeah. And I really, honestly, I mean, during those, especially there was like my year 2 and year 3, I mean, I worked like crazy. You know, I don't know anybody who's worked harder or focused more than me, right? I mean, you've been there, you've done this, right? During those just a couple of years.
Yep.
But I did it without complaint. In fact, I was excited about doing it.
Yep.
I genuinely was. And that's
Yes.
where I actually, I mean, yeah, man, it was, I mean, I don't naturally like to pick up a phone and make a phone call, but man, I was so driven by that goal.
I think that could be the term, that's what separates men from the boys, is men are willing to go do things that make their lives and their family lives better long-term, regardless of how it feels today, knowing it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Who cares how you feel during the process? What's the right thing to do?
Right.
Like, I don't always feel good when I'm working out, but I know the benefit, right? The benefit is, number one benefit is I get longevity in my life that I hope, right? That I can spend more time with my children, my family, because I made these small little sacrifices every day for an hour of pain to get years on the end of my life to spend more time with my family. I'll do it.
Sure.
I don't care how bad it hurts.
For sure.
Right. And so, yeah, it all goes back to perspective. But I think if more men in this world would face uncomfortable situations and do hard things so that those hard things can get easier, our life would be, our communities, our country, our lives, they would be so much better, because there was more men willing to face and confront hard situations.
Yep. And they'd be willing to do that if they have a very clear vision of what they want.
Exactly.
So.
When you know why you're doing it, it's very easy to continue pursuing forward, for sure.
Definiteness of purpose. You got to work at it. You got to get it. You got to get it. You know, if you don't have it right now, keep working at it till you get it, because that's when you're going to take charge of your life and life's going to be good. So
yeah, it's like that thing. What is that thing you can't get out of your mind?
Yep.
You just, for some reason, you can't shake it. It's the thought that keeps coming back, like whatever it is that you want to do, right? Like, for some reason, every time I have a conversation, or every time I'm praying, or every time I, stay up late at night or whatever, this thought keeps coming in. That's your dream.
Yeah.
Stop avoiding it.
Get out and talk to people. Go to some events. Do something to get out around other people. If you're struggling with that, it might be because you're trying to do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
Get out and meet some people. Get some relationships going. Take people to lunch. Just get out there in the world and get your brain going. And that's where things tend to start to move, right? When we're cross-pollinating ideas and thinking about things. And
yeah. And I think a lot of times maybe some people say, well, I don't know what I want, or, I don't know what I want to accomplish in life. And maybe because there's no examples of anything around you because of who you've been spending time around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might have to work a little bit to get into the right circles. Make some changes.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the couple episodes ago, we had Jefferson on, right?
Yeah.
And talk about when he moved to St. George, he sought out a relationship with you.
Yes.
Because he wanted to be around other successful
and
men.
He came to where I was already going to be.
Yep.
I didn't go out of my way he came to me. And I would just suggest this too. In fact, a friend of ours I just talked to earlier today suggested this. He goes, hey, you know what? Offer to pay this guy some money to spend an hour with you.
Yep.
And you might need to do that. If you have someone you want to spend an hour with, say, can I give you $500, spend an hour with you, or
Right.
whatever it is, right?
Right.
Heck, some people might be worth $5,000 an hour, $10,000 an hour, or more.
Yes.
And you go, man, I can't afford that. I don't think you know if you can afford not to do that.
Exactly.
So there might be situations where, if they'll do it but a lot of the busy, successful people, they're genuinely super busy, and they don't have time to spend with somebody who's just there to just shoot the bull.
Right.
They want to spend time with somebody who is serious and willing to invest, and they know they can see that you value their time.
Yep.
Right. And so that can help with that. So.
Yeah, that's why so often, in our world today, so many people, there's so much free content that you can get, right? Like this content is free for people. There's so much free content. So a lot of times successful people give away so much free content that the only way they're going to spend one-on-one time with individuals to really pour into them is an environment where they can actually monetize all this other stuff they've been doing for free, which really gave them the platform or the notoriety to be able to find you. Mm-hmm. And so they've put in all this effort, time, and energy to create enough notoriety to be able to for you to find them.
Yeah.
And you think, I could relate to this person. I think they could change my life.
Yeah.
It's not a cost. If you're going to have to invest some money in it, it's an investment. It's not
right.
a cost. You're not going to pay for anything. You're investing in your future, even if it was $10,000 for an hour.
For sure.
If you end up making $1 million over the next 30 years, that was a good rate of return on your money.
Yeah.
Or even if you didn't make another nickel, but it saves your marriage because you spent the time with somebody, or you get in better shape and you don't have a heart attack, and it saves your life because wasn't it worth it?
Absolutely.
But so often people, again, are looking about what can I get out of a situation with a little amount of money or effort as possible.
Right. No.
And what a weak mindset, right? Why don't we have a mindset that says, how much can I give? What can I give? What can I provide? How much can I serve everything around me? And if I get something from serving it, awesome.
Right.
But I'm going to wake up every day and do the best I can possibly do, put as much effort as I can put into it. And we just know the law of nature says what? I'm going to get something in return.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how God's going to bring it my way, but I know it happens.
It will happen every time.
Yes.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
again, that goes back to that faith, right? Having the faith that you willing to put in that effort without knowing the end result, and just continuously doing it with a positive attitude, excited.
Having faith is action word. You got to take action. That
Yes.
is what that's what faith. I'm having faith. Okay, let's see what your action is like. So I should give credit to Ian Pruckner because he's the one that told me about that little tip. So anyway, we should probably wrap up, dude, because we've been going for a little while here.
All right, man.
We just get rolling, and then we just
That's
don't know
exciting.
how much time's going by.
What a great subject, too.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'd say anybody, if you're watching this podcast, listening to it, leave us a review, good or bad, hopefully good. But if it's bad, we should probably know that too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If someone has something that we need to change or adjust or
talk about.
Yeah, or talk about. Or
guests you'd like to have us get on here, whatever. We'll have a bunch of guests. We'll just continue to do this, and anything we can do to help out, we want to do that. So.
Yeah, share the podcast with your friends if you would, and give us a rating. So we can start moving up that list. I mean, it's obviously this is free content. We want to get out to as many people as we can, and we're investing time and money and energy into helping people. And so we want to get it out to as many people as possible. If you guys be willing to share, it'd be awesome.
And let's go, Brandon. I wore the shirt today.
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Never been a better time to be named Brandon. So
I know. Let's go, man.
Proud of my name. So all right, man. Cool. Thanks,
Appreciate
buddy.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Until next week. We'll see you.
All right.